G'day, g'day. It's Nick here and welcome to Wicked Wildlife. And in this episode, I want to introduce you to one of Australia's less colourful species of python, and that'd be this fella here, the Australian water python. Stick around. They're pretty dangerous. For more Wicked Wildlife encounters, this is Tully, our resident scrub woolly member to our wild family here. Australian have a look. We've got two different snakes with us today. I hope you have a great one and take care. So the water python is basically found across the top of Australia, from North Queensland through the top end of the Northern Territory and in the top part of Western Australia where, surprise, surprise, they're generally associated with water, living along creeks and billabongs and rivers. That being said, during the dry season they can be found quite a distance away from water. They don't need water to survive, they don't dry out, they are a snake. They have this impermeable skin, which means they can survive dry conditions. It's that they use the water as a place to catch food and a place to avoid predators. Now, living in these moist environments means that there is a whole host of potential prey items that these guys are going to run into in the wild. And while this guy's only little, these guys can grow 2.5 meters long, and they're recorded to eat everything from birds to baby crocodiles. But one of their most common food items, particularly in the Northern Territory where they've been very well studied, is the dusky rat. You're right there. So like all pythons, these guys are actually egg layers, which means they're going to deposit their eggs in a nest. The interesting thing about these guys though, is they have two potential reproductive strategies. By a study done in the Adelaide floodplains in the Northern Territory, they identified water python females adopting one of two techniques to hatch their eggs. One group of water pythons laid their eggs in cool nesting areas, basically underneath the roots of things like paperbark trees. The other group of females travelled up to 2 kilometres away to lay their eggs in disused monitor lizard or goanna burrows. Now, these burrows were much warmer, and the difference they observed with these two is that the females that laid their eggs in the cooler nest sites would stay with their eggs wrapped around them to guard them. Now, while they might have a higher success rate due to less predators getting to their eggs and the like, they also observed that these females that stayed with their eggs, opposed to the females that laid their eggs in monitor burrows and left, lost up to 40% of their body weight and had a significantly higher mortality rate themselves. So it brings about an interesting evolutionary argument. Are they better off investing more energy into producing their babies, or are they better off surviving to the next year and having another crack at producing more again? So it's really interesting. Two different reproductive strategies in the one species of python in the one population. It's pretty cool. Another thing that this species of pretty famous for is while they're not a very colourful snake, excluding that beautiful yellow belly, under the right sunlight they actually shine this iridescence. You see a rainbow across their back, which this, along with the fact that they're generally associated with waterways and gullies and things like this, leads people to believe that this guy is actually where the story of the rainbow serpent in the Aboriginal Dreamtime in northern parts of Australia might have come from. Now, I'm not an expert on Aboriginal culture as much as I'd like to be, so if anybody knows any more, please drop me a line and let me know. But a lot of people do believe that this is where that story may have originated. These guys live in those waterways, which the rainbow serpent is associated with having created, which means they're potentially a culturally important snake as well as being ecologically important as all snakes are. So all things considered, I think this guy's a pretty interesting species of snake. While they might not be brightly coloured or venomous or grow 20 feet long, they've got a really interesting history and they've got a really interesting cultural significance, which I think makes them a really unique Australian species. Now, if you have enjoyed our video, guys, and you haven't subscribed already, please hit the button down below so you don't miss any of our other future videos with snakes, lizards, possums, all the cool Australian stuff. If you have subscribed and you enjoy our videos, consider checking us out on Patreon, patreon.com/wickedwildlife, where you guys can help out to keep our videos coming out to you each and every week. Other than that, guys, as always, be nice to snakes, have a good one and take care.